It's the mark of the devil, 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 devil.
RFID is radio frequency identification. It consists of a tiny silicon computer chip and an antenna that a remote reader can scan and send to a database. RFID is the backbone of the Internet of Things.
Yeah, it's a smaller version.
Oh, you film? Okay. I thought you was doing photos.
These are real. This isn't make-believe.
Let me now turn to our program for the future.
While you were sleeping, everyone in the city was installed code. It was a brilliant idea by Dr. Cocteau that an organically bioengineered microchip be sewn into the skin. Sensors all over the city can zero in on anyone at any time.
I can't even conceive a visual of what you police officers did before it was developed.
We work for a living. This fascist crap makes me want to puke.
What do you think you're scratching, caveman? You really think we'd let you go without control? Your code was implanted the second you thawed.
Why didn't you just shove a leash up my ass?
This is a microchip that could one day be implanted under the skin of every single American.
Big news last Friday after RFID Limited proudly announced an employment agreement with retired Lieutenant 9/11 hero John Kiernan from the New York Fire Department. Mr. Kiernan will be the spokesperson and chief marketing consultant for RFID Limited's Survival Tag product. The Survival Tag is a real-time location device worn on the body by emergency personnel to pinpoint their location at all times in emergency situations. If at any time emergency personnel are trapped or incapacitated, their location will be broadcast by the RFID component embedded in the Survival Tag, assisting in an immediate rescue. The Survival Tag product will be a revolutionary device in emergency personnel safety, targeting some 1 million U.S. firefighters as the initial market.
And to the idea that, as I've said, and I just want to get your reaction to it.
Sure.
I've said that you cannot reform immigration meaningfully if you can't control it.
Okay.
And you can't control it if you cannot control our borders. Can you tell me what's wrong with that view?
No, nothing wrong with that view, and I think we are going to control our borders a lot more effectively. We have a biometric card for all new guest workers. It's kind of impenetrable, right? So that we can make sure that no one's working here illegally, so employers know who to hire and not to hire.
But what really Congress needs to do is to use a biometric technology to create a new tamper-proof identification card.
The new legislation, the National ID card is in it. It takes 3 or 4 pages to describe, and it will be connected with our driver's licenses. The states will be instructed on exactly what they have to do. Social security numbers will be used. Some type of a physical proof, such as fingerprints or retinal prints, have to be on it.
RFID is a technology that uses tiny computer chips the size of a grain of sand or even smaller, hooked up to miniature antennas to transmit information about items at a distance. Back in 1999, Procter & Gamble, Gillette, and MIT got together to find a way to commercialize this technology and make it small enough, make it efficient enough, and make it low cost enough to, essentially, their dream is to put one of these tiny computer chips on every physical item manufactured on planet Earth. Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese has been tagged with RFID and sold to consumers, as have Mach 3 razor products and other Gillette razor products, without the knowledge of the consumer. One of the tiny chips could actually even be the dot on the letter I on the back of the fine print on a package that you purchase. One of the most worrisome applications of RFID are proposals to put them into cash. meaning that you would be able to track every banknote, where it had been, who it had been issued to, and create, in essence, an audit trail. That would essentially take away the anonymity of cash that we now enjoy today. The ATM machine itself, as the money came through the roller device, would be reading each number, and they would know who you are because, of course, you identify yourself at the bank before you take money out. And down the road, when you go to pay at a major retailer, it would also be possible for them, as they're putting the money into the cash drawer, to simply feed it through a little reader device. It would go in, it would tag that number and transfer possession from Aaron Russo, say, to Walmart. Once everything you do is tied down to a single number and there is no longer the ability to pay with cash, then all it takes to render you a non-citizen is to simply turn that chip off. You will no longer be able to really participate in any function in society, including buy food.
Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over.
You see, we have become a society of peace, loving, and understanding, and we are, quite frankly, not equipped to deal with this situation.
There have been no deaths of unnatural causes in San Angeles in the last 16 years.
The Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Diego Metroplex were merged in 2011. You are in the center of what used to be Los Angeles.
That's great. You, give me a Marlboro.
Yes, of course, right away. What's a Marlboro?
It's a cigarette, any cigarette.
Smoking is not good for you, and has been deemed that anything not good for you is bad, hence illegal. Alcohol, caffeine, contact sports, meat.
Are you shitting me?
John Spartan, you are fined 1 credit for a violation of the verbal morality statute.
The hell is that?
John Spartan, you are fined 1 credit.
Bad language, chocolate, gasoline, uneducational toys, and anything spicy. Abortion is also illegal, but then again, so is pregnancy if you don't have a license.
Caveman. It is time to wake up, America. These ID cards are not about defeating terrorism, but they are all about controlling the American people.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
The fall of the Berlin Wall brought new hope, but that very closeness has given rise to new dangers. Dangers that cannot be contained within the borders of a country or by the distance of an ocean. Think about it. The terrorists of September 11th plotted in Hamburg and trained in Kandahar and Karachi before killing thousands from all over the globe on American soil. As we speak, cars in Boston and factories in Beijing are melting the ice caps in the Arctic, shrinking coastlines in the Atlantic, and bringing drought to farms from Kansas to Kenya. Poorly secured nuclear material in the former Soviet Union, or secrets from a scientist in Pakistan, could help build a bomb that detonates in Paris. The poppies in Afghanistan come to Berlin in the form of heroin. The poverty and violence in Somalia breeds the terror of tomorrow. The genocide in Darfur shames the conscience of us all. In this new world, such dangerous currents have swept along faster than our efforts to contain them. And that is why we cannot afford to be divided.
Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in a new world order.
That is why the greatest danger of all is to allow new walls to divide us from one another. The walls between old allies on either side of the Atlantic cannot stand. The walls between the countries with the most and those with the least cannot stand. The walls between races and tribes, natives and immigrants, Christians and Muslims and Jews cannot stand. These now are the walls we must tear down.
Make sure that we can actually win the peace. And I think that the other thing we've got to recognize is the threats that we've got now, Al-Qaeda and other terrorist networks, the way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.